Holiness, the Dalai Lama, once said that the world will be saved by the Western woman. And what if I tell you that this Western woman is here tonight? She is with us. She is in the audience. She is sitting at your table. That Western woman is you, and you, and you, and you. But let me check something with you before we continue. Who of you has planned carefully what to wear tonight? What top or dress, shoes, handbag, even jewelry to put on yourself before you arrived here? Please raise your hand. I see something great. Because you are ready. You are ready to save the world with fashion. And what a glamorous way to always be the better you. My story with fashion started back in Russia, where I come from, in Siberia, and it goes back to my childhood and my mother's hobby. My mother is a physicist, a mathematician, who has never worked in fashion and has little personal interest in it, but she's an amazing dressmaker. So she has been making things for me. She can sew, knit, cut, crochet, or embroider anything. So as a teenager in the 80s, I looked like today's poster Gucci girl, with the wardrobe made entirely by my mom, at the times of extreme shortages and empty shops. And that was the time that I learned my most important lessons about fashion. That fashion is about style. Fashion is about individuality. Fashion is about self-expression. Fashion is about emotional connections. Fashion is about creativity, fun, and enjoyment. I also learned what fashion is not. Fashion is not about what is sold in the shops. It is not about the latest trends, and it is not about the price tag. But another important lesson that I learned came much later, and it changed my relationship with fashion. In fact, it changed my life. And what I learned was that fashion and textile industry is a number 2 polluter, is a number 2 threat to our world, second only to oil industry. And this is unthinkable. If we solve the issues with oil, and we're working on that, that means that fashion and textile will destroy the planet. And this what sent me on a mission to save the world with fashion and brought me here. Because also, I know that we only have until 2030 the time to stop the irreversible, catastrophic changes that are coming. United Nations calculated and published this document telling us that if we continue without the change, we continue business as usual, fashion as usual, dressing as usual, we are to expect something, as I said, irreversible, connected to climate change, the lack of resources, including water, which will bring enormous human suffering, new wave of migration, and climate refugees. But how is fashion able to produce such a strong environmental impact? If you think about fashion, not as a result, but as a process that has a beginning and the end, then you will really understand the whole picture. Let's do a quick mental exercise. Choose one item you're wearing today, clothes or accessory. And let's go together very quickly through the whole life cycle of that particular thing. And as any life cycle starts with the raw material stage. So let's think back to that. If you chose something that contains cotton, cotton has an enormous environmental impact, but I will just mention one thing. To produce 1 kilo of raw cotton takes on average 20,000 liters of water, depending on the region. And that is only enough to make 1 t-shirt or 1 pair of jeans. Viscose. Not everybody knows that viscose is made from trees, the same in a similar process as the paper. Last year, it is estimated that 120 million trees were cut to be made into textiles and clothes. Polyester, byproduct of oil industry with all the issues of the industry plus the usage of non-renewable resource. Wool or leather. In both cases, we're dealing with polluting problems of the agriculture. That's the first step. And then, when we start processing these materials, we're using extremely toxic chemicals and very heavy processes on energy, emitting a lot of CO2. When we do bleaching, tanning, dyeing, and finishing these materials. And many of these chemicals escape into the water. And there is a sad joke that goes, if you want to know the color of the season, look at the rivers in China, where a lot of processing is taking place. If you have chosen something which is metal or stones, precious or not, again, think about it. It is a non-renewable resource, and it is also polluting at the stage of mining, extraction, and processing. And who knows what this is? This is a manufacturing stage. This is a collapse of a clothes-making factory, Rana Plaza, in Bangladesh 5 years ago, killing over 1,000 people, mostly women, garment workers. Why did this happen? Because we want more clothes, faster, and at all cost. So at the manufacturing stage, we are also dealing with ethical issues, working conditions, fair play, salaries, and even child labor. If we continue on that diagram of a life cycle, so after manufacturing, what do? We have packaging, we package our things using a lot of wasteful using packaging and plastic and creating a lot of waste from it. We have transportation, shipping. We know that 80% of goods arrive to Europe by sea. And even when we buy the garments, we don't stop the damage. Because we are using energy to wash, to tumble dry, chemicals, dry cleaning. And you might be surprised, we are also contributing to plastic pollution of the oceans with every wash we make when we put polyester-based garments into the wash. They have now discovered that polyester sheds microfiber, usually and mostly invisible tiny little hairs that escape the washing machine filters. There is no washing machine filters that would stop it. That goes through the big plants that are supposed, the treatment plants that are supposed to take stuff out, directly into the water. That happens because we didn't know this problem exists, and because we did not have the technology. You can see the numbers. One fleece jacket will always release this amount per wash. Now, the issue is, of course, we can't see it we can't see this plastic. It's not plastic to pick out by hand. This gets digested and ingested by fish and seafood. Eventually it ends up on our plates. The scientists that are studying this report they stop eating seafood because they don't know how this will affect our health in 20 years. And afterwards, what do we do with all these clothes when we're done with it? We're sending all of these resources to waste. And today, our consumption is much higher than ever before. And it is, the more we consume, the more waste we create. And the consumption of clothes is only going to go up. Because we have a growing population, which lives longer, we have a growing middle class with a growing disposable income, so we always have a growing demand. Good that they moved on, because I think it's enough of sadness. Is there any joy left in fashion? And there is good news, and the good news is that the fashion industry, well, number one, the good news is that it is possible to reverse the situation. And the good news is that fashion industry is working on it. And every day for my consulting work, I receive a stream of emails about the latest and the greatest sustainable fashion solutions from the industry. And I can talk to you about alternative fibers, about new types of recycling, non-toxic dyes. But my heart goes to consumers, to people like you, who on the one hand need to know the difficult truth about the industry, but on the other hand need help and solutions on how to go about it, not to become the fashion victim and save the world from the same fate. And I have prepared a couple of tips for you, just to get an idea. And if they resonate with you, great. I have a full sustainable style guide available. But for now, take one of these and start applying it and see how it changes you, your style, your life. When you go shopping, when you buy clothes, think about it as if you're buying a piece of art. Take your time. Don't buy on impulse. This way, you will buy less, you will buy better, you will buy to last. Ask yourself a question. Will this thing, as if you would ask if you were buying a sculpture or a painting, do I have space, room in this thing, for this thing in my life? Is this thing going to complement and go well with other things that I have? And will it give me a lasting pleasure? Support local designers. They create unique things. They use artisan techniques, traditional handcraft, small ateliers, and they will personally thank you for buying from them. What a great exchange of energy. You will want to come back. You can also download apps where you can now check the brand, how good or not it is for the people who make the clothes and for the environment. You can even stop microfiber in your wash at home by using one of these devices. They're all temporary solutions, but we are using them. Goopy Friend bag or Cora ball, you can find them online. And another thing, check what you're following in terms of fashion on your social media. Follow empowering accounts like this so that you can empower others. Lead by example. Share this information and the tips with your family, with your colleagues, with your friends, with your communities. Start applying sustainable principles to other areas of your life. Reduce waste, use less plastic, recycle. And remember, people, always take care about the well-being of the ones next to you. And of course, don't forget to be kind to yourself. Mahatma Gandhi, another spiritual leader, said, "There is no beauty in the finest cloth if it makes hunger and unhappiness." And if you agree with this, please show, let's hold our hands. Because together, translation, can we hold the hands together because I can't give you myself one big hug? So this is our group hug. Because together we have the power to save the world with fashion. Thank you.